Ethan Kile is from Oklahoma, and today we're covering a mega giant. You don't see deer like this free range around these parts, that's for sure. So I don't know if this is something special for him. Hopefully we can go into detail about it, but super excited to have Ethan on today. Along with me, as you know, is my co-host, my wife, Allie Hall, Melissa Hall, however you want to call her. But yeah, we're super excited, pumped about this. Really, really ready to hear about this deer and cover the story on it. So, Ethan, what part of Oklahoma are you from?
I live down here, south central Oklahoma, around the Garvin County area.
Cool.
How long have you been in Oklahoma?
I've been here my entire life. Matter of fact, I just built this house on our family land, so I've been here for 29 years.
We love stories like those. I think on our first podcast of the year that was on family land, he's been there his entire life. That's so cool. We always love to hear that.
That's pretty cool. What you do for a living, Ethan?
I work at a refinery here, working shift work, so we get 7 on, 7 off. So it does actually work out in my favor for deer hunting.
Yeah, big time. 7 days off. I bet you're in the woods all 7 of those days.
Yes, ma'am. I spent, I think last year I added it up. I think I was in the woods for 36 days of the season.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Putting in time. I mean, that's what you got to do.
I mean, I had something I was hunting, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had a reason to be out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I did.
How long have you been hunting?
I started hunting, going hunting with my dad whenever I could start walking. So it's been my entire life, probably 3 or 4 years old. I remember going to Colorado with them to deer camp up there.
Oh.
And then hunting around here, obviously with him. And I think I killed my first deer at 7 or 8.
Oh,
when I took my first deer with a rifle.
That's pretty cool. That's young.
That's cool. How sweet. We always love family tradition. That's so cute.
That is awesome. So, kind of get into hunting and kind of just what you working with there, Ethan. What are you working with there? You got public land, private land? How many acres? Kind of break that down if you don't mind.
All right. Yeah. So we have my dad's got some land here that I've hunted for the past few years, and then I recently got a lease with a couple of friends south of here, and we got 1,600 acres that we're hunting down there. And so got some really, really nice deer down there, but it's on that lease, it's inside of a 8,000 acre ranch, and so they really only want you to take 1 buck a year. So you gotta be pretty picky down there. They really wanna kill mature deer.
Right. That's one way to do it for sure.
And then up here around the house, where actually this deer came from was a 40 acre pasture that was actually my uncle's property that I just kind of stumbled upon really. Last summer I was cutting hay for him, and there's just a little bit of timber. I mean, probably 30 acres of timber on this property. And I was cutting hay and whatnot, and decided to be nosy and go snoop around in the timber a little bit and see what was in there. And I seen some deer sign.
Yeah.
And just kind of hit him up and was like, "Hey, you care if I put a stand up?" And he's like, "No, go ahead."
And so the pursuit of Ghost began, or have you killed other deer on that piece of property too?
No, that was just like I said. That started last summer. I had never even been on it until last year.
So how long after putting your stand up and getting settled did you finally get your first picture of him, or when did that come to be?
Actually, it was September. I'm trying to think of the exact date, but anyway, last September, I went in threw a trail cam up and put out a corn feeder, which we can bait here in Oklahoma.
Good.
Threw out a corn feeder and a camera, and he was probably one of the first few pictures I got.
Really?
Must be nice.
In front of the feeder. See, that's what I was going to say about the feeders down here. You feed And feeders can throw deer off sometimes, but then I put it out in other places and you have them eating out of it and right around it.
That's exactly right. I have seen that same thing happen, and I've had people tell me, "Oh, you can't kill big deer on a feeder," and I mean, I've seen it both ways. I've seen deer get one picture of a buck, a nice buck, and then the feeder goes off, and you never see him again.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I have seen both ways.
Well, man, it's like we've said before. Use every tool. If it's legal and ethical, then use it. A lot of people bash crossbow or rifle versus bow. I mean, there's different things, feed or no feed. But if it's legal in your state, then go for it. I really can't stop staring at this deer behind you. Like, it's really bothering me. I mean, it is massive.
Yeah, you can't overlook him. It's the first thing you see.
Yeah, and we kind of missed the what Ethan's calling this deer, what he named it, but it's Ghost. Yeah.
And I want to know why. I was going to get into that.
Yeah, we got to get
so
into
we
that.
we got Ghost on camera around September, and he was one of your first deer on camera. Was he running with a crew of bachelor bucks?
No, actually, he really just ran with a small 6-pointer last year. A really small 6-point, which was hilarious, really. But every single picture I got of him, he had that little buck with him.
Oh, if you still have some of those pictures, we'd love to get that in here on the show for everyone to see. Because I bet that is comical if it's a little 6-point to see it beside that freak behind you.
Yeah, so that was season of 22, and now we're season of 23. So how much did he grow from last year to this year? Just curious.
Man, he really blew up. Last year we had a bad drought here, and there really wasn't much to eat throughout the summer.
Yeah.
And so this year we had a lot more rain in the spring and a lot more for the deer to feed on throughout the summer and whatnot. And then between last year and this year, I'm gonna guess he grew 20 to 30 inches.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, he was huge last year.
What
Don't get me
did
wrong.
you feed him?
Yeah, he just. Yeah, no,
20. I need whatever it is that you're putting out. Yeah.
And they don't really grow like that here. They'll hop, 5 to 10 inches.
Cornbread fed. I mean, holy cow.
Well, I mean, this. I get it. I'll get into the whole story in a minute, but this summer, once I got him back on camera, I poured the protein to him.
I figured.
Yeah, that's what I was.
All summer, I was putting out protein for him to have something to, which I've always done. I've always put out protein around my stands wherever, especially in the late summer when that last couple months of them growing, it's really important. So, but this year I threw a little extra candy out there.
What sort of protein do you feed, and what do you got them?
I was really just putting a feed store commodity blend out. Just a mixture, kind of a sweet feed, cottonseed hulls type of feed.
Ghost was eating good.
Yeah, he was eating good. What is your layout of land? Like down here is thick as all get out. Midwest has got some big hardwood rolling hills, but right there in Oklahoma where you're at, is it more prairie? Is it patches of woods? Is it, like how is that laid out?
We have a lot of open pastures, and matter of fact, that's what this place was mostly open pasture for hay and cattle grazing. And then the timber, man, that's why I killed this deer out of a ground blind, was because
that's impressive.
He was there wasn't any trees large enough to put a stand in. Everything was real small oak trees. And that's usually what we got. I mean, I do have on my lease, I have some tree stands up and some bigger timber, but it's really just your bigger timbers in your creek bottoms, and then everything else is just patches of scrub oaks and brush.
Now, around this property of your uncle's, is it still surrounded by family property as well, or do y'all have neighbors that were hunting it too? I'm just trying to figure out what the pressure was like for that deer.
Oh man, the most amazing part of this is that I honestly still don't believe how I killed him, because I'm hunting that little property. Everybody around that property knew about this deer, just nobody talked about it. apparently, until I killed him, and then everybody started
Hey,
seeing
I
the
had
Look
him
at the
again.
trail
Yeah.
camera pictures I
Yeah.
had of that deer.
I mean, that's a lot of
exactly.
people keep it secret. Yeah.
And there's a highway there, less than a mile away, or probably a half a mile away. There's a major highway, and this deer was seen south of the highway. And so he was crossing that highway. He was crossing the county road in front of the property. Um, how people didn't see him, I don't know.
Crazy.
They
How he didn't get
probably
hit by a car.
That's what I was about to say.
thought it was a cow that got out. My gosh, this sucker's massive. What did he weigh? I know he had a massive body.
I wish I would have put him on scales. I'm guessing that just past deer I've killed, I'm guessing him around 160, 170.
Okay, that's not quite as heavy.
My dad actually he killed a deer the other day, um, and it was a nice deer, just a little non-typical deer, and it actually weighed 182 dressed.
So that's about average up there. See, like, yeah, it's you see, I would imagine on the 190, 200 pound would be about, would be average there. But I guess you're saying about 170, 180.
180 is a big deer around
Okay.
here. I think I seen a deer on Facebook the other day, um, killed around somewhere in Oklahoma that was over 200 dressed. And that's a really big deer.
Yeah, that's big. Wow, that's cool.
You'll have such good ones in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I assume Ghost is your biggest, right? Biggest deer?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my biggest deer before this was 145.
Oh my gosh, what a jump. What a jump. That's incredible.
We're going to get into the score towards the end.
Yeah, no, I want into the full story, but I did ask, how did Ghost get this name? Was there anything special?
Actually, the Ghost came from last year. The last picture I got of him was November the 9th last year. And then he disappeared completely off camera until July of this year.
Wow.
Wow, so he ghosted you completely.
That is the perfect name then.
That's the most terriblest feeling, ain't it? Whenever he's not showing and you're like, oh my God, did he die? Did he get hit? And with your highways there, I'd been terrified. Because, I mean, somebody hit that, they're picking it up and scooping and going. Oh man, that's so terrifying. Ugh.
Well, let's get into the full story. You said you had more you wanted to tell, and you'd get into it later. So let's get into it.
The juicy.
Well, all right. So, like I said last year, I throw a camera up and get pictures of him in September, and so I pretty much dedicated, all of last year. I'm gonna get this deer, and I was completely obsessed with him. I mean, you ask my wife. I mean, she said I'd look at my phone and look at pictures, and she said, you never looked at me like that. But
oh my God, that's good. That's the best we've heard. We've heard other people, and I do that myself. I obsess with them. I can't get them off my mind. I'm the one that my eyes squinted 2 a.m. in the morning looking at pictures, and they'll consume you, man.
I assume you have cell cams, and they're getting sent to your phone.
I was running some stealth cams, and I'd have it set up, and if I wasn't hunting, I'd have it set up just to send it to me at 6 a.m. And I would. I mean, days on, days off, it didn't matter. I was rolling over, one eyeing it, scrolling through pictures to see if he was there. So anyhow, I get pictures pretty regular during the late summer and then through September. Like I said, through September, I'm getting pictures every single day of him. I mean, I got 200 pictures of this deer. I mean, he was not camera shy at all. And, I sent it to my dad when I first got the pictures, and he's like, do not show anybody. And
good advice, Dad. Good advice.
Where we're at, he's like, I mean, it would, you'd have every poacher, every road hunter around camped out around here if that picture got out and they knew where he was. But anyhow, so I really kept it pretty secretive. Showed a couple of people that I knew that didn't know where I was hunting. So anyhow, season comes. Like I said, I'm having to hunt out of a ground blind because there no big timber to hang a stand in. I like to get as high as I can, but anyhow, sitting there one afternoon, I decided to go hunting, and I took my daughter actually, and it was warm. It's 80, high 80s. And so we go out and set, and I just want her to, see some deer because I'd had other, small bucks and does coming in. And so didn't actually think we were going to see him. All my pictures I had were actually nocturnal pictures.
Oh wow.
So anyhow, we're sitting there, and I keep hearing something behind us, and it really sounded like a squirrel or something messing around. And I just happened to look out the back of the blind, and my heart stops because he is behind me, about 50 yards behind me.
He's not a ghost no more, is he?
He's behind us, and I'm.
Looked like he saw a ghost.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine what I look like, and so we're in this ground blind, pop up blind, and so I'm trying to get my bow turned around. I'm trying to tell my daughter to be still, be quiet, don't move, get turned around, and I have no shot behind me. It's the way I set that blind up. I had brush and stuff behind me, so I wasn't even worried about it, anything coming back there.
And that would have been what, downwind of you, right?
Um, actually, yeah, where he came from was downwind of where
It's crazy, man. They always do that. It seems like the majority of the deer that I hear stories on or I hunt myself, it's always like that. It's like you never expect them to come from that place or that area, the downwind of you. Man, that's crazy.
Yes.
Continue. I'm sorry.
And no, you're good. And so anyway, he's right behind us, 50 yards, and he's with that little buck, and they're milling around. And I guess there was a few acorns back there, that just enough for them to scratch up, and that's where they were at, was under an oak tree. And we have to sit there till dark and watch him leave. So I watched him for 30 to 45 minutes probably, until he wandered off with that smaller buck off in the brush. And then me and her hop out of the blind, and we went the long way around, get out of there without bumping him. And I was tore up. I mean, I was tore up bad that day. And it's hilarious because I tell everybody this, because I was sitting there and I'm holding my bow, and my daughter goes, "Why's your arrow moving?"
Why are you shaking?
I was shaking so bad, the tip of my arrow was moving, and I was like, "Baby, I wish you knew. I wish you knew."
How old is she? How old is she?
At the time, she was 7. She's 8 now.
Aww.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Daddy, why's your arrow?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, honey.
Yeah.
You'll see one day.
So that's the first encounter I had with the deer. That's October of last year. So I went back to the next day, went back in there during the daytime, just to see, what was back there. And there was a few acorns on the ground. So I was like, okay. I hadn't had a picture of him in a couple of days. So, okay, we're not on corn, we're on acorns. All right, let's do that. So I take my blind down. I moved my blind back to where I had seen him, and got it situated where I thought I was in between the acorns and the bedding area. So I think I'm slick, right?
Right.
He comes on the corn. Oh God. I have a
feeling. Probably a week later, I'm sitting there in the blind, and I look up, and I can barely see my feeder from where I'm at. And I look up, and I see that little buck come out into the corn feeder. And my heart stops. I was like, "There's no way." Sure enough, 5 minutes later, he comes out, walks straight over to the corn feeder, right 25 yards from where my blind was.
No.
I knew it. I had a feeling that was coming. Oh God.
From the total opposite direction of where I seen him the time before. So anyhow, same scenario. I mean, it's too dry to even try to get out of the blind and make a sneak on him. There's no way I could even got out of the blind without him busting me. So again, I just sat there until dark and watch him leave. And that was the only 2 times I actually seen the deer in person. Like I said, that was the end of October, and the November 8th or 9th, it was the last picture I had of him, which around here, that's usually when the rut kicks off, and it's not abnormal to lose pictures after that.
Right.
Mm.
Oh God, 2 times.
I know that's pretty
I would have been like,
torturing.
yeah, I would have been so down. You know me.
I'd have had to
I'd
try
be
to
like,
launch one
I'm
over.
giving up. This deer is torturing me.
So fast forward to 2023.
All right, so this year, same thing. So I obviously still had the property, and I go back out there 1st of July, set up a camera, and put some protein out and some corn, and get a couple of deer on camera, and then all of a sudden I get this. Like I said, it's 1st of July. I get this deer, and he's just got a ball of points as his the first set of horns. I mean, I have other deer that just have nubs this tall coming up, and this deer's got a ball of points already in July, and I thought that's got to be him, and it wasn't. I mean, probably 2 weeks later, he starts just blowing up. And so from then on, mid-July through August, I kept feeding there, because I mean, like you said, once it's legal in your state to bait, everybody's doing it. So if you don't have the right, if you miss a couple weeks putting corn out or whatnot, your neighbor's got it going, so they're just going to move over to his stuff.
Yep.
No doubt.
So anyway, I made sure and kept feed out for him throughout the summer, and something for him to eat on, and he was pretty religious this year. Every single day or every other day, he was coming in, but all nocturnal pictures, all nighttime pictures, because I mean, it was hot. It was in the hundreds through August. Get into September, still the same thing, and then he looked enormous with velvet on.
Right, they always do. Yeah.
Like 300 inch.
But I can't tell myself. I couldn't tell myself that that's a 200-inch deer. I just couldn't do it. I'm like, there's no way I have a 200-inch deer on camera. And the few people that I showed pictures of, they said, oh yeah, that's over 200. That's over 200. I was like, maybe, hopefully, we'll see. And so anyhow, getting closer to season, and I actually was scheduled to work October 1st, which is opening day here in Oklahoma. And so I'm scheduled to work, and I'm getting this deer on camera, and I'm like, man, dude, am I gonna be that guy?
Oh,
Am I gonna be that guy that calls in on opening day?
I'd lose my job over that deer. Ain't no doubt, man. I'd say, you know what, y'all can have it. They make jobs every day. Sorry, I'm giving it. You have to bite the bullet on that. You got one shot on that deer, man, and you better make it count.
That's exactly right. And so, September 30th, he comes out in daylight, right before dark. And so I'm scheduled to work that the next day. But luckily, I was just coming in as extra help, and I was only working an 8-hour day that day instead of 12s. So 3:30 gets here. I'm in my truck rolling at 3:30. Soon I'm clocked out. I'm gone. And it's like 92 degrees that day. And I was driving home, and I'm like, man, I got to go hunting. And I get about halfway home, and I was like, man, I don't know. AC sure sounds good. And I was like, well, you know what? You can't kill them on the couch. So I came in. I just literally pulled in the driveway, ran in the house, put my camos on, grabbed my bow and release, and left. I didn't get a backpack, a knife, a flashlight, anything.
Of course you didn't. That's when it always happens.
Yeah. It happens when she doesn't wear makeup. And it happens when I don't have a flashlight. You're exactly right. And you're about 400 or 500 yards in, and you have to, I know.
Keep it going.
Funny how it works.
I just grabbed my bow and release and left. And anyhow, get in the blind right about 4:15-ish. So I was actually pretty late getting in there. I like to get in before that. But it wasn't getting dark till 7:30 here at the time. So I still had 3 hours, and And like I said, I'd only had one daylight picture, was the night before, at 7 o'clock is when he came in. So 30 minutes before legal light. So we're sitting there, or I'm sitting there, and a doe had came out earlier, and she. Oh, I'm sorry, my dog's barking.
No, it's
know,
so
we've been
cute
watching it
though.
all
Like
the
this
time.
whole time, I don't know if you could see our hands, but Cody would like point because you had a
Yeah.
cute little dog just like hanging out in the background.
We're sitting there, and I'm sitting there and thinking, all right, I gotta sit here dead still because this doe's sitting there, and I'm looking out in front of me, and the wind. I'm watching this grass in front of me, and this grass is just swirling, and I was like, oh no, like this is not good. I'm thinking, okay, if this deer is anywhere close, this doe's gonna blow out of here and ruin the whole afternoon. But I can't get out because I don't really want to spook her. So I just have to sit there the whole time watching her feed. And I don't know, it's 6:50, I believe. Looking at my phone, I look up and I see that little buck
There's
that
his
he was
best
running with.
buddy. There's his
Did
own
he grow
bestie.
any? Is he your second one you're after now? Or is he still a little 6 point?
I'm not sure if it's the same deer or not. The deer he was running with this year was just a big forkhorn, so I don't know if the 6 point lost his brow tines or what.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it's still a small buck.
Yeah.
So anyhow, this forkhorn, he comes out, and I went, oh no way. He comes right out. He hops over my panels because I'll send you the pictures. But here in Oklahoma, just like in Alabama, we're eat up with hogs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so all of our feeders that we put out, we have to put panels around to keep the hogs off of it.
Crazy.
So I have these hog panels around it, and the buck hops over this panel, and I look up, and I'm looking at this panel, and I'm looking at this deer, and I'm going, oh no. I hadn't even thought about this prior because I hadn't seen a deer worth taking at that property. But the top of that hog panel was right level about with the heart.
Oh God.
And I was like, oh, that's not good. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, if this deer does come out, I can't let him hop over those panels, or I'm gonna be so nervous about hitting the panel, I'm gonna miss him high.
Right.
So anyhow, I'm sitting there, and I just happened to look up because the way I had my blind set up, I just had one window open directly in front of me, so I was completely blacked out behind me.
Right.
And I just happened to lean forward a little bit and look to my left, which was downwind, and that buck standing there 50 yards in the timber, standing there staring at that smaller buck and doe feed.
Watching
And
what he does. Ain't that God? They send their little dummy friends out and hey, test the waters and see how it is. See if you get shot.
And it was exactly what happened last year. When I seen him last year, the same thing happened. The little buck came out, and then 5 minutes later, the big deer came out.
Yep.
And it was the exact same scenario this year. I lean forward and look, and I lost it.
Your arrow started moving again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the arrow was
there.
quivering. Let me tell you, because when I seen that smaller buck come out, I instantly picked my bow up and got ready.
Right.
And when I seen him standing there, he looked like a statue. I mean, he was dead still, staring at that smaller buck, watching his body language and how he was doing it. Him and the doe were both content. I mean, they were relaxed and just feeding normal. And so I just kept staring at my feet, holding my breath, trying to get my heart rate to slow down because I can hear my heart rate in my ears,
Yeah.
So I'm thinking these deer, they're 25, 26 yards. They can hear my heart if I can hear it.
Yeah.
I got to calm down. Either that or my arrow shaking in my release is going to scare something off.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyhow, I'm quivering in the blind here and just trying to stare at the ground. And I looked down for a second and looked back up, and he was gone. And then I looked out in front of me, and there he was. I mean, he just, like I said, just like a ghost. Like 1 minute he's 50 yards away, and the next minute he's 25. I mean, it was just a half a second.
It feels like I'm underwater right now. Like I'm so like anxious.
I know.
ready
I'm
to
literally
hear. Like,
holding my breath
I
at
know.
certain points for you,
I
because
know.
like we all know what that feels like
It's
when
so
your
crazy.
target
It's
buck
like,
is.
and it's like a ghost. It surely is, man. I've sat there and you can see a deer, and you're like, there he is, and then you turn over here, and then they're gone, and you're like, what the heck did he go? But no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's cool. Continue.
So he commits and he comes in, and like I said, I was thinking in the back of my mind, I can't let him hop over these panels. I'm not going to get a shot, or I'm going to try to compensate for the panel and hit him high. And so I draw real fast. Adrenaline basically. Everything
Superman
you're
all
not
of
supposed to
a sudden.
Yeah. Robin Hood.
So that's funny. I was sitting here thinking, because I had to sit there and watch this deer for probably 10 minutes, stand there and watch 5-10 minutes, stand there at these other deer, which felt like an eternity.
Of course.
Because it's getting darker by the second,
Mm-hmm.
And so anyhow, I had just actually this off season upped my bow from about 68 to 75, and so I'm in my back of my mind going, I sure hope I can pull this bow back.
Yeah. It's the little thing.
So,
You don't think about.
No, you're right. You're
Yeah.
totally right. You almost go limp sometimes. It's either you're Superman all of a sudden, or you go limp and you can't get past
It
here.
is one of the two. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So when he finally commits and he comes out from behind this tree, I jerked my bow back, and when I did, I made just enough of a noise and stopped him. And so he's standing there staring at me, and you always preach, or you always get preached to about picking a spot. You don't just shoot at the deer. You pick a spot. There's always something you can aim at, a crease or a small off-colored spot or something to shoot at.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't the case.
Let her fly.
Draw some blood.
Pen, I'm shooting a spot hog single pin sight, and it looked like it was about as big around as a Coke can.
Yeah.
And so, anyhow, I think when one of my figure eights that I was making, when it crossed the vitals, I pulled the trigger, and I hear a loud whack, and then he didn't throw his tail up. He had his tail tucked and ran off the exact same way he came in. And so I'm thinking, okay, I got a hit. Usually if they keep their tail tucked, something's happened.
Yeah.
And just his body language when he run off, I thought I hit him, or I knew I hit him. And so I'm sitting there, and I can't wait no longer. I mean, I probably didn't sit there 5 minutes. And I get out, I walk over to right where he was standing, and there's nothing. There's no blood, no arrow. I can't find my arrow, nothing. So.
And you don't have a flashlight.
So I'm instantly sick. Yeah, I don't have a flashlight.
You're using your phone light. And...
a little bit of a phone light.
Yeah.
I just go about, 10, 15 yards. I find 2 little pin drops of blood.
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh, my God, this isn't good. So I just instantly backed out. I left, and I'm walking back to the truck, and pretty much at a jog. I left my bow and everything in the blind. I left my bow, my arrows, everything in the blind. I didn't grab anything besides my phone. So I'm basically power walking back to the truck, and I called my wife, and all I could get out was, I got it. And I called my dad, and I was like, I got it. That's all I think. I think that's the only thing I got out. And he's like, how's the blood? And I was like, 2 little bitty pin drops. That's it. And so I'm sitting there in the back of my mind, like, man, who's got a dog? Who's got a thermal?
What are my options?
Need something, yeah.
I got to call the cavalry out here.
No doubt.
So anyhow, I was like, so my dad's like, well, go to your house, because I'm 2 miles away from where I killed the deer. That's where I live. And so dad's like, just go to your house, and I'll meet you there.
Oh.
So anyway, he gets here, and he's like, well, let's give him an hour. And that was the longest hour of my entire life, 100%. I mean, he laughs because I was changing the batteries out in my flashlight, and he said I looked like I would looked like I needed a drink or something, like alcohol and get me a drink. He said I was shaking so bad. He's like, I couldn't even get the batteries in my flashlight. I was so
Man,
tore up.
Oh,
it's so
everyone
good,
knows
man.
though, as a hunter who's having to wait, especially when you're not sure about a shot. I mean, you said you got him, so
Right.
maybe you felt more confident than I'm leading or I'm getting from it. But anyone who has to let a deer lay and isn't 100% confident,
They
in
know that
that
feeling.
hour, it feels like 4, and you start to convince yourself or question yourself or go through all these different scenarios of what you could have hit. Like, we have friends who will call and say, this is a little bit of blood that I found. Where do you think I
Muscle
hit?
blood, is
And then people be like, oh, it's you hit him in the intestines, or you hit him in the gut, or
No
you hit
man's
him in the
land.
shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's like all these scenarios start to happen, and you're like, oh my God, now I definitely got to get in the woods because I'm so scared. What did happen? So we know
Yes.
how long that hour feels.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. And so anyhow, we get back out there, and it probably wasn't 40, 50 yards after I stopped. We actually found a good spot of blood,
Good.
and it was good color. It wasn't that dark color. When
Mm-hmm.
you get
Muscle.
when you hit one too far back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was good colored blood, and I was like, all right, I feel a little bit better. So I'm thinking I hit the shoulder, hit lungs, so I'm good. Well, so we keep tracking, and it's about every 20, 30 feet we're getting blood, but it's not steady.
Oh.
And so we were just kind of leapfrogging each other. I'd find blood, and then he would go ahead of me, and then he would find blood, and he would stay there, and I'd go ahead of him, and we just kind of leapfrogged each other, tracking real slow, and it was getting pretty thick brush in there. Um, anyway, we get to a creek, and there's nothing. There's a big puddle of blood on one side, and I'm like, all right, this is good. He should be right here in this creek. And it was a dry creek, and we looked down in there. There's nothing there. I was like, oh my gosh. So we get down in the creek, and we look around, and we finally found where he went up. Found a hoof prints where he went up the other side. And we get up to the other side, and it opened up, and it was a really good blood trail from then on.
Oh,
Um,
thank goodness.
yeah, it was pretty steady. About every 20 foot, we'd find a big spot of blood,
Or you stop
and
and
yeah, it was real weird after that. It was just like we'd find a puddle, and then like 20 feet we'd find another one, and it's like, all right, but we found a whole lot of blood for him to be this far. We're probably 200 yards from where I took the shot at this point.
Wow.
And then we get out into open meadow, and we're in waist high grass, which is terrible for tracking deer. I mean, I'd much rather be on my hands and knees crawling through greenbriers than I would track deer in an open pasture.
Absolutely. You're like looking on
But
the
we're just
little blades of grass,
Trying to
trying to
find-
see a little bit of blood on there.
and
Been
you'd
there.
have to be like right there on them to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're taking it real slow through here, and then we find a couple of places where he had fell down, and there was real good blood there, and the grass was pushed down, and real good blood. I'm like, man, he's bleeding a lot for a deer to make it this far. We're over 200 yards here. And there's my dad was wanting to back out. He's like, man, I don't think we're pushing this deer. He's like, we may need to back out till morning. So obviously I'm definitely calling in sick tomorrow.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm actually physically ill. I'm not lying.
Yeah. And I did not going to get any sleep at all. I'm no good.
It would not. Yeah, yes, ma'am. It would not be a lie at that point. But anyhow, I told him, I was like, man, there's a thicket out in the middle of this meadow. I was like, let's just make it to that thicket. If he's not there, let's back out. Well, the closer we get to this meadow, the blood starts kind of zigzagging back and forth, like he was kind of wobbling.
Yeah.
And I get probably 10 yards from this thicket, and I see hair, and I absolutely lost it.
Of course.
Like hair is in a body?
The body,
Yes.
yes. And he had expired right there, and he had just completely run out of blood. I mean, he didn't bed up. He just was laying face down, legs behind him. He just run out of gas and passed right
Wow.
there. But
Wow. How where
it was
where was your shot? Where did it end up being your shot?
well.
Well.
So it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Uh, so I don't know if you can see right here. There's kind of a discoloration right here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like a line.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's it.
You hit his freaking artery in his neck or something.
I did.
When you said
I
it was
hit him in
like
the neck.
every 20 to 30, I was like, is that spurts from like an artery or something shooting out?
Yeah.
That's exactly what had happened. He it's like every jump he made, that's where he was bleeding at, and
Holy
it all
cow.
made sense once we got up to him. I only thing I could figure the way where the hole was that when I shot, he actually turned towards me,
Yeah.
and he actually turned into the arrow,
Wow.
and it hit that main artery right in the neck, and it just cut that main artery,
Yeah.
and he bled out that way.
Wow.
But like I said, I mean, within an hour, or actually at this point, we were probably 2 hours in from when I took the shot. So
Mhm.
within 2 hours, he was down.
That's
Man,
awesome.
y'all made a good call though, backing out.
Yeah.
Because you definitely could have pushed him a little bit if he had stopped at any point, especially out in that field when it seemed like maybe he laid down or fell down for a bit.
Yeah.
So y'all made a good call
Right.
waiting on that. We
Yeah.
have people
yeah.
that intentionally shoot him in the neck down here, but it's usually with a rifle.
Yeah, yeah.
Not with their bow.
Oh, yeah. It's
There is an artery
I
right
have-
there.
I've done that on a couple of bucks, especially when I actually took my actual biggest deer. I rattled up
Oh, cool.
and he was facing me, so that was the only shot I took. But it works too.
Yeah,
Man.
absolutely.
That is so cool. I want to hold him so bad. I can't believe your taxidermist got him back this soon. I mean, October 1st, you killed him, and we're recording this today.
I mean, just a
11.
little over a month.
Yeah. In
Impressive
November.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
but-
he does really good work. He does all of his hides and all of his tanning himself in house.
yeah.
Wow.
He doesn't use a third party for that, so
He
so
did a good
he's-
job.
he knocks it out. And I was second in line this year.
Wow.
So-
Yeah, well, you did it opening day. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That
Yeah,
pedestal
there was-
mount, that's pretty sweet. And
He
it's-
did
it's
great
got a-
on the
Oh, yeah.
cape where you would have butchered him right there.
Yeah.
He did really good on that.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
Yeah,
pedestal is gorgeous.
That's what we discussed when I took him over there, and of course he was pumped to see it,
Oh.
and he goes, he's like, all right, well, I said, well, there's always a but, and he's like, what do you mean? I was like, but I messed up. And he looked at it, and he took it out of the bag, and he goes, oh, he said, I think I can take care of it. Because I asked him, I was like, do I need wait on another cape, or
Yeah.
do I need to kill another buck, or what do I need to do? And obviously I was wanting the deer back pretty quick, and
Rightfully
he goes,
so.
no, he said, no, that's not a problem. I can fix it. And he said, there's going to be a mark, there's going to be missing hair. He said, but that's part of the story.
yeah,
So true.
that's
I think
so-
it's way
yeah.
cooler that you turned around just now and were able to show us where you hit.
Yeah, that is
That's
pretty
way
cool.
cooler to me than you to say, oh, yeah, it should have been right here, but this is a different cape
Yeah.
than my deer.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
None of us are perfect. We're all gonna make a bad shot here or there, but I mean, you got him. I don't
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's what I
consider
said.
that
It's-
being a bad shot.
No, he said it's better to be
Oh,
lucky than
yeah.
good. I love that.
Man, that is so
Yes.
awesome. How old do you think he was? Did you by any chance ask this taxidermist how old he was?
Yeah, when he caped him out, he looked at it, and then he had another guy that actually scored the deer again. He looked at it too, and they don't think that deer was over 6 years old.
Wow,
Like,
that's
Holy cow.
crazy.
probably 5.5 to 6.5-year-old deer.
Wow.
That's
And
so cool.
what that makes the crazy thing about it is people were sending me pictures after I took the deer. They were sending me pictures from up to 2 miles away from where I was of the deer.
No joke, man.
They're
In
incredible.
2021, a guy sent me pictures from 21, probably 2 miles north of where I was at, and you could tell it was the same deer. It had the same. The drop tine was smaller. and the kickers were smaller, but you could tell it was the same deer.
Yeah.
But he was probably a 180 2 years ago. So that would have put him at a 180-inch 3-year-old.
And
or
so
3 or 4-year-old.
that's impressive, dude.
This
That's,
dude escaped
yeah.
a high fence.
Yeah, that's what I would say. So score.
Free Willy.
What is the score? What's the official score? And again, guys, we don't have a official BTR score on him yet, but hopefully we can in the near future. It's just kind of where you're at. We got to get a score to you. But what did he score at the taxidermist?
Well, me and a couple of friends, we scored him the next day at 229 and 7/8.
Gosh.
And then my taxidermist, him and his friend, scored him at 228 and 7/8.
1 inch difference.
So within an inch apart.
Now, I would love to know the BTR score because he has some non-typical points, like his drop
he has
time,
some trash for
which
sure.
Boone and Crockett, traditionally, they will deduct for those sort of points, whereas BTR, or the Buckmaster scoring system, will give a deer credit for everything that it grows.
Yep.
So I would love to find our scorer out there and have them go, because this deer is going to be bigger than 229 for sure.
Well, I mean, when you scored him, did you deduct any? Or is that his gross, Boone and Crockett?
Oh, no, that's everything.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so that's going to be his BTR.
Close
so it'll
to
be
it.
220. That's pretty cool. You almost got 230. You might have got 230. Let's
Yeah.
get a score to you and we'll find out. But
Yeah, I'd love to
to
know.
be in the 200-inch club, man, that's impressive.
That's
like
yeah, that's so
it's
rare.
hard to do, man.
200 inches is
I'm
insane.
telling you, and like I said, all of last year and this year, it was hard to believe you hit a 200-inch deer on camera, and because I've got some 150s, 160s, and that I haven't taken, but I've had on camera, and this deer dwarfed them, and I couldn't believe it up until when I put my hands on him, I knew instantly that he's a 200-inch deer.
Once
And it's
in a
funny,
lifetime.
I just sent like a half a rack picture to a friend of mine that's on the Buck Ventures pro staff with Jeff Danker.
Yeah.
And it was probably 5 minutes later, he'd already sent that picture around to everybody on Buck Ventures. Then Jeff Danker FaceTimes me, and he's like, well, what do you think he's going to score? And I was like, I hope he goes 200. He goes, man, I've killed a lot of deer in my life. That's well over 200-inch deer.
Oh, I bet you were so excited.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's truly a blessing. I mean, I know it'll probably never happen again. I hope it does, but it probably won't ever happen again. But it hasn't detoured me from hunting at all. I mean, I've been 5 or 6 times since I've taken this deer.
I was
going to
ask you that. Once you get spoiled like that, I was curious, does it make everything else seem small? I noticed you're a noodler after creeping through your socials, and I was like, I wonder, sometimes with noodling season, once you catch a really big catfish, it's hard to make yourself go to a hole where it's not going to be like over 10 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And I've never killed a deer of this caliber, but I thought, I wonder if it does the same thing. Like you kill a giant like this, does it make it hard to go back out there?
That's the point in going.
I'll tell you, it did not. It hasn't desensitized me at all. I was actually back in the woods probably 4 or 5 days after this, and I had another buck coming in. He's probably 145.
Nice.
And 140, probably mid 140s, and I see him coming, and he's a real pretty symmetrical 10-pointer.
Oh, cool.
And so I see him coming, and I get my bow up, and I'm shaking just as bad.
Oh, I love to
on
hear
him.
that.
I didn't get a shot at him. Just the wind was howling about 30 miles an hour, and some does busted me downwind and left and kind of spooked him off. But anyway, when I seen him coming, I mean, had the same feeling as I did with this deer.
Oh, I love to hear that.
That's hunting.
Excuse my ignorance too, but how many tags do you guys get in Oklahoma? Or how many bucks can you kill?
It's just 2 bucks. You can take both bucks with archery or one with a gun and one with a bow.
Nice.
Okay.
And are you strictly a bow hunter now or what?
I'd like to be. No, I actually, prior to this deer, I've only taken a few deer with my bow.
Oh my gosh.
Not because I'm new to it. I mean, I've been bow hunting since I was 16.
Wow.
But it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
one of the hardest things you can do in the outdoor industry is bow hunt. Or I
Agree.
know it's the
Well,
hardest thing
especially
you
for
can do.
you, man. You don't have a whole lot of trees to get up in. You got ground blinds you're hunting out of. It's hard to kill a good deer
Yeah,
like that.
I got two tree stands up and two ground blinds up, but it is hard. It is hard to get high up around here. I mean, if you can get 20 foot up, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's the wife letting you put it? Is it? I'd have it right there. I'd probably have it right in front of my recliner. But where's
Oh,
do you have to put it in another room?
Oh no.
He's in the living
I
room.
got two. Oh yeah, he's right here at the
Good.
back door. Whenever you walk in, you got to look right at it.
That's a good wife.
And he's
You
looking
hang
right
on
at
that.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I have several deer here in the house mounted. So no, she's all about it.
Yeah.
You ever
She's a
do
really good one. I mean,
European mounts too, or are you a big shoulder mount fan?
um, I have 5, 6 European mounts.
Yeah.
I've only actually got 2 deer. Had to look count here. I've only had 2 deer mounted. I've only taken 2 deer worth getting them out in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So everything else I've just European mounted.
That's the only thing about a shoulder mount. I love those pedestal mounts and a good shoulder mount, but you can't grab it and like look at it. I know that one would be like this and grab it and look at it, but
Right.
that's the only disadvantage to me about them. It's like right now, I want to so bad for you to grab that deer and bring it up to the camera so I can see it. But maybe we can get you, if you don't mind, after this or sometime we'll get you to do a little panorama around the whole rack. I'm sure you already
With
have.
your
But
phone.
yeah, we can pop that in there for the audience. That way they can see it. But
Because I mean, his mass is
Oh yeah,
insane.
I can do that.
yeah,
That's
there you
not
go.
an issue.
Oh, we got a laptop here. Holy cow!
Man, that's massive. God, that kicker and then that drop, that's just everything about it. That
I would love
palmation.
another reason I want someone to like a BTR score to score it, and I want them to video it and explain how the crap you actually
Score
how
that.
you score
Yeah,
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
How
my
many?
God.
Oh, there's these other guys.
That's some good deer, too.
He makes them look like babies.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh my god, but they're big deer too, but he's a freaking giant.
Man, Ethan, that's awesome, dude.
Anything special about the pedestal you put him on or anything underneath it?
It's a cedar, I see.
No. Yeah, it's a cedar,
Yeah.
all cedar pedestal.
Gorgeous.
Pretty
And then
sweet.
he actually did the rocks and stuff on it. And another cool part of the deer, set this down, is the back of the deer is actually rocks also,
Oh,
and
that's
it
sweet.
flows down into the pedestal. It all looks like rocks back here instead of just wood.
That's incredible.
I like that, dude. That looks really, really cool.
That's so special. Is your daughter wanting to get out there now and hunt herself?
She does. I mean, she's kind of a fair weather hunter, but yeah, she does. When she gets a little older and a little more mature, we're definitely gonna get her in the woods and get her on the deer.
Oh, good.
Good deal, man.
She's got something to aspire to go after to try to beat her daddy on that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard to do.
I hope so.
I mean, you just don't
so
see
cool.
deer like that. You just
Yeah.
can't. That's once in a lifetime, man.
Congrats to you. That's great.
Thank
Well,
you.
anything else you want to add to this?
Yeah. Any advice?
Oh no, I definitely can't give any advice.
Feels
I
like
just-
we're talking to a. I'm sorry, but it feels like we're talking to a 90-year-old. How'd you make it to 90 years old? It's like, how'd you kill a 230-inch deer? What's your tips?
Tell us the
Let's-
secret.
Yeah, we need a secret, man.
And it-
Dadgummit.
I wish I had one. I mean, the only thing I can tell people is don't pressure them. I mean, there was a lot of times last year, I wanted to be in the stand, and I just couldn't because the wind wasn't right,
Yeah.
because you get a deer like this, and he smells you or sees you one time, he's gone.
Game
Oh,
over.
man.
He's going to change zip codes.
Yeah.
So
Cody taught me everything I know about hunting, and that is
Yeah.
one big rule he's always given me is I will not allow you to go sit in the stand if I know for sure the wind is not right. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
you got
okay.
one shot at them. That ain't no joke. That's for sure. Patience is a virtue. Patience,
Yeah.
patience, patience.
Everybody's, everybody's asked me now. They're like, "What do you do now? What do you do now?" I was like, besides just go back and sit in the stand and see what comes by next. I don't know. Besides maybe go, like you said a while ago, go catch an 80-pound flathead.
Yeah.
Or
Hey.
80. Okay, we're moving to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
80-pound catfish
Yeah.
and 229-inch deer. Oklahoma is home.
That's
next.
where we need to be.
No, but no, actually, my biggest catfish was 60. I got a 60-pound blue one time, but
Yeah.
that was
That's
the
a big blue.
biggest blue. But yeah, everybody's like, "What do you do now?" I was like, "I don't know. Go catch an 80-pound flathead or a 15-pound bass, I guess. I don't know."
Yeah.
I see. If you obviously can see his link and stuff. Look him up on Instagram. But you catch some good fish. They noodling and then I saw a big bass in there too, big deer, all kinds of stuff. So
You stay busy.
stay
Work
busy.
doesn't stop you.
Yep.
Yeah, that is the plus of working shift work. You get those weeks off, and then when it times up right, coming up, I have the 9th through the 19th off of November, so I took the whole rut off this year.
I was about to say, you told us that
And
around
now-
the 9th kicked off rut last
And
year
now
and he
you
disappeared.
have nothing to kill now.
No, he said he
well,
does. Yeah.
Now, you
Everyone
get that
knows
10
that-
now.
The rut will bring in an entire new inventory
Yep.
of deer that you've
Yep.
never
That's
seen
exactly
before.
right.
You just
Well,
got to
I
be
sure hope
sitting
so.
there.
Well, man, we need to have another conversation about noodling. I think that we could do that, and then just another conversation about your future buck, because I have a feeling you're going to get another one.
Mm-hmm.
Some good dirt up there, some good genetics, and man, that's a heck of a deal.
Happy for you, Ethan.
I
That's
cannot
awesome.
believe it.
Thank you.
But well, I guess that concludes this podcast. Nothing else to say. We got all the tips and tricks from him. Didn't get the latitude and longitude, but we got it. Good deer, Ethan. Greatly appreciate it, man, and we really appreciate
Thank you,
your
guys.
time.
Yeah, thanks for sharing Ghost with us. He's
Yeah.
incredible.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Tune in for the next one. We appreciate it.